folks, big win last night. And by wins, I mean wins. Next year, New York will have 3 federal Democratic Socialists in office. AOC, Claire Valdez, and Darlisa Chevalier. There'll be 4 DSA members in New York City elected to office. There will be 15 socialists in office in this state. Rivaling the number of socialists since like literally 1915, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Just huge wins. Claire Valdez, this is the New York 7th District. Claire Valdez beat Antonio Reynoso, and Reynoso was a sort of a, I would say, mainstream progressive. He was Nydia Velázquez, the retiring congresswoman's pick. She endorsed Reynoso. Reynoso got endorsements from a lot of unions, not all the unions. Claire Valdez won by 21 points, 20 points. A huge win. Brad Lander beat a sitting congressperson. Now, I think a lot of people anticipated this. Certainly, everyone did, or everyone around here did. Goldman won last time only because the vote was split amongst progressives. But this race came down to, in many respects, the question of Israel and AIPAC. This is the most Jewish district in the country. Both Goldman and Brad Lander are Jewish. Lander won by 30 points. He won by 30 points. You will hear a lot of mainstream commentators, Republican commentators, Zionists, say that this is a very scary time for Jews in New York. I cannot tell you how absurdly laughable that is. Just absurdly laughable. This is Michael Cohen. Let's put this up here. He is a writer. I don't know if he writes for the Globe now. A liberal writer. He writes, "This is genuinely a scary night for New York City Jews." I honestly, I cannot tell you how, because I think he's sincere. I cannot tell you, and I'm not, obviously, I don't believe that even psychiatrists from afar can diagnose someone. And I am not a psychiatrist. There was a sitcom pilot where I performed a laparoscopic cholecystectomy as a doctor, but I am also not a doctor. But I will say, in my layperson's opinion, he is demented. Like, there is a psychological problem associated with that.
You're acting like you didn't ask me to go get groceries for you last night because you were too scared to leave the house.
I did ask Brian that, but that was because I was too lazy to do it, and I thought he would buy into that. The idea that New York is even remotely scary or remotely more scary today for Jews is one of the most bat crap crazy things I've ever heard. It's inexplicable to me how someone could say that. I don't even know if he lives in New York. Maybe, I can't imagine he does. But it's just insane. Brad Lander's pretty Jewish. In District 13, this was the one I think that surprised most people. Darlisa Villa Chevalier goes up against Adriano Espiat. Espiat, not just an incumbent, not just a 19-year incumbent, but also the chair of the Hispanic caucus She beat him by 4 points. To beat an incumbent is crazy.
With that kind of resume.
To beat it, and also understand this. There are times where it's like, Joe Crowley got surprised by AOC. But supposedly they've all been on alert since then. And it's not like these two incumbents are so far removed from leadership. We just didn't realize. We didn't have a sense of what was going on the ground. You can go from either one of these districts to Hakeem Jeffries' districts in anywhere ranging from I think 10 minutes on the subway to different parts of it that might take you 45 minutes or so. They were completely blindsided by this.
You brought this up before the show. Espelot's last 3 elections, he won 90%, 81%, and 81%.
Oh, those were general elections. Yeah. I don't think he was even challenged.
Oh, yeah, those are generals, yes.
So these are major wins, and there were big wins in the state Senate. There was some upstate. The only other one that was a real competition was, or I should say, a surprise on some level, was the 12th, where Lasher won and Boris, neither one of them was, the biggest difference was that Boris was willing to regulate AI, and they spent something like $20 million. And he still only lost by single digits. Here is Zohran Mamdani, who is now being hailed. I mean, look, this was risky for Mamdani to do. Or at least that was the story. He is pissing off the leadership. It was less than a year ago when this headline popped this up from the Slack, where Jeffrey's people were saying, if these Democratic Socialists are attempting to primary any incumbents, they're going to regret it. I think it was, nope. Nope. That was that CNN headline, I think it was. Yeah, here it is. This is from July 9th. Some of Mamdani's far-left allies want to primary Hakeem Jeffries and other New York City Democrats. And the byline, or I should say the subtitle was, there was a quote in that tweet that was there. I can't find it now. But it was basically to the effect of, like, good luck. They're going to have a real problem if they do that. Here is Zohran Mamdani at the Claire Valdez victory party last night.
I know many of you have been canvassing for months. And at those canvasses, at those fundraisers, at those events, when we introduce our candidates, we use a language of hope. We say the next assembly member, the next state senator, the next congressperson. Tonight we use a language of fact. So please join me in welcoming up to the stage Assemblywoman Deanna Moreno, Assemblymember David Organ, which is first and foremost, this is your victory. What you all have shown this evening, whether for state assembly, state senate, or Congress, is that a year ago, it was not the end of a political movement. It was the beginning. And I want to thank you because in this room I see those who believed no matter what tweet they read from Michael Lang. They believed. They put that anxiety into shifts. They put it into door knocks, into phone calls. Raise your hand if you canvass. Those are the hands that won this race. And every single one of these incredible candidates, they are going to be the partners in transforming the most expensive city in the United States of America into one that working New Yorkers can afford.
I have to say, like, I certainly, not in New York City, but I don't recall anything quite like this, where a mayor who's been mayor only for 6 months essentially throws all of his political cachet into these races. We certainly haven't seen a movement like this. It just hasn't existed in our politics for decades. And on some level, that's why, a lot of this is just not predictable where this leads. I'm quite sure it does not lead to a place where Jews should be nervous about. But honestly, in terms of like political power, it is unclear, because this is definitely going to influence Democrats across the country. Some less, some more. And when we talk to Morris Katz, I think you'll get a sense of that in a bit on how it's going to implicate things. And speaking of something else I haven't seen, I guess I've seen this on the right. And I think back to like when George Bush in 2005 attempted to, maybe it was 2004, maybe 2005, attempted to push immigration reform when the Republican intelligentsia believed that demographically speaking, they needed to open their party to Latino and Hispanic voters. And there was a massive pushback by Mark Levin and Ann Coulter and Laura Ingraham and a lot of these sort of xenophobes, racists, who pushed back on it and shut the whole thing down. We've never had that on the left. Any type of media platforms that can really singularly influence the outcome of a political fight. There's been moments. Talking Points Memo did a great job of Social Security in 2005. There are others. But this is pretty amazing. Hassan Piker, a couple of days ago, I think it was only a couple of days ago, started encouraging his audience to phone bank. He's a slightly larger audience than we do. And the last figures that were public were that 90,000 calls were made by his audience. And here he is at, I think it was Claire Valdez's party. And the DSA co-chair, Gustavo, I can't remember his last name. He tells Hassan Piker that it translated into at least 2,000 votes. Check this out. as of like 10:38 p.m. last night when the race was called, I think this is what the vote tally was. Chevalier had 32,790 votes, and Esbiat had 30,464 votes. I'm not going to do the very specific math, but it looks like a 2,300 vote lead. That's amazing. Really indicative of how these wins were brought about by a movement that mobilizes its people. Not just mobilizes, but organizes and mobilizes its people. A real fundamental change to see, it's one thing like, okay, AOC knocks off Crowley, and she does this through organizing and whatnot in 2018. Nobody expects it. Nobody sees it coming. And it's almost like a quiet insurgency. This was no surprises here other than the specific outcomes. And to mobilize in 3 different districts, and not just 3 different districts, but also the Senate races, Assembly races, is incredibly impressive. You will hear all sorts of different spins on this. Like what happens in New York can't translate into other places. You will hear that this was all about gentrification. It wasn't. Both Chevalier and Valdez won in cohorts, not just the sort of like new young white people, which I also think is sort of an amazing critique from people who are saying, well, we need candidates who will work in Iowa. Well,
Where do you think the white people came
where do you think the white people came from? But it's also not the case that they just won, white podcast listeners. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.